Late Night Health moves forward. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. In about 25 minutes or so, maybe 30 minutes from now, Stephen Halperin is going to be joining us. He has a career of over 40 years of creating a new form of brain balancing music. So not only is it enjoyable, maybe kind of new agey, it helps you stay healthy. And he has different music for different situations. That's happening in about 30 minutes here on Late Night Health. Right now we go to San Diego County, where we're going to spend some time with Adam Markel. He's a best-selling author. He's a CEO. He's an attorney. Actually, he told me he's more of a recovering attorney. He's an international speaker, an entrepreneur, transformational trainer. Is there anything you can't do, Adam?
Well, I'm the classic jack of all trades, I suppose.
Okay. Can you come over and help me with my plumbing?
I could do that.
Can you really? Oh, wow. I'm impressed.
I could do it badly, yes.
Oh, okay. I remember my father trying to replace a toilet once, and he was a very successful sales guy. And he and a neighbor decided to save money. They were going to do this toilet transformation themselves. It was the first time I heard certain words. And my mother took my sisters and myself and said, "You are not to come out of your rooms until I call you, and turn your stereos up as loud as they can go." Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Pivot program and how it affects health and life in general. Pivot program, the art and science of reinventing your career and life, but it also helps with health. When you were an attorney in New York, you're making a lot of money, were you happy?
No, I love it. Start with the easy question, Mark. No, I was miserable. And I used to start my day in very much the same way for a number of years. So part of the thing that we're going to talk about today is this concept of pivoting. And I wrote a book, as you said, Pivot. And that's all about what it was that took me from a stage and a phase in my life where I was miserable on a daily basis. I would start the day putting my feet on the floor, like many, many people, in the dark. It was before the kids were getting up, before my wife was due to get up and take care of the kids for school. And I was getting ready to get in the shower and commute to Manhattan, where I had a law office. I had a law practice in New York and in New Jersey, and I did that for 18 years. And probably for 13 or 14 of those years, in all candor, I was unhappy and miserable, and I woke up, put my feet on the floor, and I would feel anxious. So I just had a night's sleep. Sometimes that sleep was interrupted. I'd get up in the middle of the night or have a little trouble getting to sleep, which was a sign of something to begin with. But then I would start the day with anxiety and a feeling of dread and just sort of misery because I didn't love what I was doing for a living. I was really just trading. I was doing it for the money, so I was just selling myself for the money, selling my soul, as it were.
There's a term for that, by the way, Adam.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I think it's a legal term too. Anyway,
what is?
Prostitute.
Yes, I was certainly prostituting myself. Thank you for getting me to admit that now. But
there was a pivot in your life, an aha moment. What motivated you to say, "I can't do this anymore"?
This is a health show. So
yes, it is.
It's fairly. I think it's appropriate that the aha moment for me was not one moment. Of course, it was a series of things, but ultimately, my putting my feet on the floor, starting my day that way, and feeling this dread or this anxiety, this sort of misery, went on for years and years because I ignored it. Like a lot of people, I just put my head down, meaning I worked harder and longer, and I worked 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week, and was doing my best to just make more money because that was the only thing that could relieve the pain, was to just buy another thing, another possession, a car, a house, a boat, or whatever.
Maseratis are gratefully accepted over here.
For sure.
Right.
Until one day I'm in the car, and it wasn't a Maserati. It was like a Mercedes wagon. And I'm driving. It's a Saturday. I pull off to the side of the road, and I get out of the car, and I go around to the driver's side, to the passenger side, and I ask my wife to get out and switch seats with me. And she does. And I give her some directions, and 5 minutes later, we're at a local hospital. And I ask her to go park, and I'll meet her inside, and I end up in the emergency room. She doesn't know what's going on, but I get in there, and I tell the nurse that I think I'm having a heart attack because my chest is, my heart's pounding out of my chest. And next thing you know, I'm on a gurney. They got me hooked up with electrodes. My fingers are numb. I'm sweating profusely, and I have this vision that I'm about to expire, and I'm not going to see. My wife and I were married now 28 years, and we have four kids. The kids were really little at the time, and I think I'm not going to see. I don't even know if I'm going to see my wife because I don't know how long it's going to take her to park and get in here, and I'm probably not going to see my kids again. And I am just in that state of being so upset, so distraught, and angry with myself. And I found out that day, as you can imagine, that I wasn't dying. I didn't have a heart attack. The doctor walked in and told my wife and I that due to stress and lack of sleep and too much caffeine, because I drank a bunch of coffee.
If you're working 80 hours a week, I can imagine.
Yeah, I had an emotional or an anxiety-driven experience, and he told me that he thought I was really lucky, that a guy my age with all the stress and everything else and just not being happy with what I was doing in my work life in particular, that I was lucky I didn't have a heart attack because he saw guys that walked in there and didn't walk out. And so we left that day, and that was my big moment. I walked out. I looked up at the sky holding my wife's hands. We had cried, man. I tell you, when he told us that, we both broke down hysterically crying in that moment because we were so relieved to hear the news. And I came out of that hospital, looked up at the sky, and I said, thank you, God. And that wasn't a language for me. I was not a religious person, spiritual, but not religious, and I didn't say those things very often. And I realized that day I got a reprieve. I got a second chance. So that was my wake-up call, as it were.
And how long did it take you to say, I quit, and honey, we don't have any income?
I came home one other time, and I looked at my wife, and I said, honey, and it was like one of those moments. I'd commuted from the city. I missed the kids going to bed that night. I didn't get to read them a story or anything. I walked in, and I was dripping wet from a cold, rainy night in New Jersey, and I said to her, if I keep doing what I'm doing, you're going to be a widow. And she looked at me, paused, and she didn't remind me. I mean, I love my wife so dearly, and this is one of those moments that I'll never forget. She looked at me, and she didn't remind me of all the mortgage payments and everything else that was the responsibility that I was under financially, because she knew I knew that. She just said to me, we'll figure it out. And we took a deep breath, and again, probably had some tears that night as well. And it was a process, and this is the part that the book is about. It was a process that took a period of time where I pivoted. I made a change. That's the definition of a pivot that we use is small change in direction that creates a massive opportunity for change or even transformation. Like you said, transformational toilet fixing and all that. Well, this was a different form of transformation for me, and it took about 2.5 years because that was your question. How long did it take before the money ran out? Well, unfortunately for us, the money didn't run out because I didn't just come home and do what a lot of people think they have to do when they're unhappy with their job or some area of their physical life, their health or their relationships even. I didn't come home and say, I just quit, honey. I just quit. We're moving to Fiji or that kind of thing. We used the process to plan out the change over time, and that way we didn't run out of money.
And you, of course, developed the Pivot program.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, ultimately, we wrote the book. It took about 3 years. It became a big bestseller, and then I started traveling around the world teaching those principles on people, entrepreneurs, business owners, and people who are pivoting in their health in every area, including in their health. And it really resonated with people. Loved the story of it. Loved the process because when there's a process for something, we can feel comfortable in the fact that we can do it, right? It's like when I was a kid, you brought up a story from your childhood. When I was a kid, we used to do models. I mean, we didn't have cable TV and we didn't have cell phones and stuff like that, right? So we had to keep ourselves busy. And models, either the plastic models or if you were lucky enough to have an erector set, that was a pretty cool model. And, the thing about those things was you had to follow directions. You couldn't just open up the model for a B-17 airplane or something, and there's 8,000 pieces, and put it together just by looking at it. You had to follow the directions, and that process is really important, that we have some sense of how to create a foundation for making a change, whether it's a regimen, a ritual, in your health, et cetera. And before we're done, I would certainly love to talk about the health aspect of pivoting.
When we come back, we're going to do just that, Adam. Adam Markel is our guest. He's a charismatic speaker, as they say. He's written a book, a best-selling book called Pivot. He shared the stage with people such as Tony Robbins and maybe even first boyfriend Stedman Graham as Late Night Health continues. We'll be back with Adam in just a couple of moments. Yeah, yay Oprah. And we'll be back. Don't go away. Late Night Health is proud of our partnership with the EBC, the Evolutionary Business Council. Check them out at ebcouncil.com.
Old souls may be the ones who've been around the block a few times, but they're also the ones who know how vastly beautiful that block is. They're the ones who still stop to smell the roses, and they always stop to drink in every small moment of life. Life may seem like it's all about seeking moments to smile, but I find it's about smiling for every moment you experience life. And old souls know this best. They're the ones who treat life like a garden. They know the only things that will ever grow within that garden are the things they've placed there, nurtured and tenderly cared for with all their heart.
For more inspiration from Robert Clancy, visit guidetothesoul.com or go to the Moments with Robert page on latenighthealth.com.
If you or someone you love suffers from drug addiction, now is the time to utilize your private health insurance PPO plan. If eligible, receive up to $30,000 or more in substance abuse benefits with low or no out-of-pocket cost. We are the National Treatment Network, the premier drug and alcohol treatment referral service operating 24/7. We help connect you with facilities nationwide that accepts PPO private health insurance for substance abuse. If you have PPO substance abuse coverage and you need immediate admittance to a medical detox or residential rehab treatment center, call us now. Call our live referral helpline today. The call is free. This program is not available to Medicare or Medicaid customers.
Call 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. That's 800-296-1252.